YouTube in a couple of minutes. I didn't even notice. That would explain a lot why I wasn't seeing the normal things. I honestly don't think I fucked that up. I think, look, Occam's razor, the simplest explanation is it was probably me. But I really don't think I did fuck it up. I have this thing of wanting to blame StreamYard, like I was sure I selected. I mean, why would I not? I mean, obviously it would just be a mistake if I didn't. But why would I not? But yeah, I think StreamYard actually fucked up. That actually makes sense to me. Hello, Abigail and Alexa and Don't Trust Society. Now the YouTube stream is live. Something went wrong with my launch and it didn't launch to YouTube. Luke, fortunately, helped me out and let me know because I did not even realize. But now I did realize, so now I'm on YouTube. Alexa, you're almost home. Feels like scary movies. Where are you if you're not home? Because you're watching this. Walk past. Oh, well, if you're still out and about, it's past curfew. Ooh, there's a man living on the edge, out past curfew. I hope you get home safely. If one is to believe the sort of drivel one reads in Murdoch media, you're in danger of being shot on sight by the police because that's how Dictator Dan likes it. It's hilarious to me when the Murdoch media misses the pulse of public opinion really badly. They don't stop. Like, they have non-stop assaulted Dan Andrews, and no matter how many surveys they do of what does the public think, and they get so pissed off when the public overwhelmingly supports the actions of the government. It shits them because they've used all their power to attack him and say, no, it's wrong, he has to resign. And they are just not carrying popular public opinion with them, and it absolutely shits them. It's a combination of infuriating that they are so fucking evil and destructive and so driven by ideology. They try to destabilize the people who are managing the worst public health crisis we've had in a century. And then it's also funny that it's not working. Peter, you finished The Jakarta Method by Vincent Bevins. Book recommendation. Nice, because it is Read a Book Day. Peter, is The Jakarta Method, is that fiction or non-fiction? I am not familiar with the book or the writer. And by the way, reading books, what's touching there? The two glass bottles touching and they just started vibrating. It's actually in a case of tonic water. I can't separate them. Oh well, fuck it. Yes. So, talking about Read a Book for Read a Book Day. Audiobooks count. Listening to an audiobook counts as reading a book. Yes. So, we were talking about books and book recommendations, or books you want to read. Is there a book that you want to read, that you want to hear about? Well gifted, Aspie, Animate and Inanimate by Cedis. Is that fiction or non-fiction? So, Peter, your one is non-fiction. It's about Washington's anti-communist crusade focuses on the anti-communist massacres under Suharto in Indonesia and how that relates to other countries as well. There you go. Yeah. They're like, okay, so an animate and inanimate is also non-fiction. There you go. Kicking off with a couple of non-fiction recommendations. Luke, you heard the audiobook of Go the Fuck to Sleep. Who was reading the one you heard? Was that the Samuel Jackson one? It's a book, bedtime story that's just made to be read by Sam Jackson. It's good. William Sidis was a genius of his time. What was his time, out of interest? Because I'm not familiar with him. So I'm learning stuff tonight. That's good. It's good to learn stuff. Never stop learning, as the saying goes. I think that's a saying. I said it, so it's a saying now. Okay, looking him up on... What's hilarious to me... Okay, I just looked up William Sidis on Wikipedia. So he was born 1898, died in 1944. So he died quite young. He was a child prodigy with exceptional mathematical and linguistic skills, notable for his 1920 book, The Animate and the Inanimate, in which he speculates about life in the context of thermodynamics. Funny thing is, looking at some pictures of young him, if someone showed me that picture today and said it was, just the guy with a slightly bad haircut, but I would believe if someone showed me that picture and said it was taken of someone today, that would be it. Hey, Jim with the great big wobbly dangly ones. He's calling him a torture genius. Let's read a bit about him. Right. He was raised in a particular manner by his father, who was a psychiatrist who wished his son to be gifted. Became famous for his precocity and then his eccentricity and his withdrawal from public life. Ended up avoiding mathematics altogether, writing under pseudonyms, went to Harvard at age 11 as an adult, claimed to have an extremely high IQ, conversant in about 25 language and dialects. Being conversant in that many languages shows you have a pretty unique brain, honestly. Some of these claims have not been verified, but many of his contemporaries supported the assertion that he's extremely intelligent. All these stories of child prodigies going to university before they're a teenager, that's a fucking terrible thing to do to a kid. You will just fuck them up. And he seems to have died quite young. Ooh, he's into politics. In 1919, after his withdrawal from law school, Sidis was arrested for participating in a socialist May Day parade that turned violent. Got sentenced to prison. So he was a conscientious objector in World War I and a socialist. Did not believe in a god like the big boss of the Christians, something in a way apart from a human being. He developed libertarian philosophy. His father kept him out of prison. Held him in a sanatorium in New Hampshire. Right. So his parents threatened to put him in an insane asylum. That was fun. He wanted to live an independent and private life. So he died from a cerebral hemorrhage in 1944 at the age of 46. His father had died from the same malady in 1923 at the age of 56. Possibly something running in the family there. There you go. Ugh. So a few people who are into him have an obsession about IQ scores and claim him to have basically had the biggest IQ score. Yes, Jim, that is a classic of modern literature. Ethel the Aardvark goes quantity surveying, and all good bookshops have it. Do you know what I found out recently that I did not know until recently? Yes, by the well-known Dutch author Charles Dickens with 2 Ks. It's a Monty Python sketch. It's one of the more famous Monty Python sketches, but it's a very old sketch. There is a recorded, video version. It was done for TV. John Cleese, who is the bookshop proprietor in the Python sketch, and I think Michael Palin is the customer, but they'd done a version like at least 10 years before the Monty Python version with Mr. Goggle Eyes. He is Igor in Young Frankenstein. Marty Feldman. Oh, thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim. You actually knew exactly where I was going. Marty Feldman. Yes, it was originally a sketch with John Cleese and Marty Feldman. It was recorded at least 10 years before the Pythons did a version which became very well known. I only found that out quite recently. There's someone shared the video on Facebook, and I was quite fascinated. Stella, good evening. But yes. Peter, Behrooz Boochani is an Australian story soon. I have to recommend No Friend But the Mountains. Amazing and heartbreaking book about his experience as a refugee in Manus prison. Yes. Prisoner in Australia's torture camps. He's now living in New Zealand, who took him in. Oh my God, that is something that if there are future generations, I like to think future generations will look back on with absolute horror the way Australia tortured asylum seekers. It's absolutely horrific, barbaric, and inexcusable. It is just the ideology of cruelty. It is just absolutely the worst. And every person involved in it, and that's both Labor and Liberal, should be vilified for all time to come. It is just absolutely disgusting. Yes, or Gifted SB, Australia's torture camps are an ongoing thing. Just reading horrific things like this family that's been kept in isolation at a cost of fucking millions, if not billions of dollars, some stupid amount of money. Kids growing up in captivity because of the psychotic fucking ideology of Australian governments is it is just horrifying. It is absolutely horrifying. And when I say kids growing up, I mean kids born into captivity or kids who were 2 years old when they were locked up by Australian authorities and are growing up incarcerated for the sin of trying to get away from a terrible, life-threatening situation that Australia's foreign policy was a big part of creating. It's just an abomination. That's the only way I want to describe it. It's a fucking abomination what Australia is doing to these people and continues to do. And it's just fucked. Absolutely fucked. I'm trying to think. I have not been reading books, and I feel slightly bad about that. I think... See, because I used to read on public transport, and I haven't been using public transport for like 5 months. I've been working from home, and so I haven't been setting aside time to read, and I kind of think I should. Closest I've come to reading, I haven't even been listening to audiobooks. I do occasionally. And this is the weird thing. When I'm working from home, I don't listen to stuff all the time. When I was at work, more or less to screen out all the background noise, I'd have my earphones in all the time listening to music or podcasts. At home, because I don't need it, I don't do it that much. Kirsten, your husband said, your husband said reading is not doing anything. You're looking for recommendation for a divorce lawyer. I've heard worse. My ex, when I was playing with my kids when they were toddlers, like, 2 and 4 years old, she said I was wasting time because I was with the kids. I don't know. She wanted to leave them unsupervised and have me do something else. I don't know. That was the weirdest one I ever had. Being with the kids was wasting time. Jeez. Safa, didn't Abbott pay off the Singapore Coast Guard to stop refugees from entering Australian waters? Oh, there are also so many dark and dirty stories about the Liberal Party in particular with their lies about stopping the boats. Yeah, there needs to be a major fucking investigation into that. Yeah, look, I'm absolutely not catching public transportation now. Peter, you don't read on public transport, makes you motion sick. You're not alone in that. But I've never had that problem. Audiobooks. I haven't even been listening to audiobooks. I don't know why. It's just because I think I got used to it. It was to screen out other people, and I don't have other people to screen out here. So most of the time it doesn't occur to me to be listening to something. I will occasionally I mostly listen to music if I want to do stuff, because then I go to do work and listen to a podcast and I go, okay, I can't use my brain to write and listen to words at the same time. So I just listen to music. Stella agrees the book thing is grounds for a divorce, Kirsten. So you've got some support here. It is a bit of a thing. It would be particularly adding to the divorce settling proceedings if husband regards TV watching as valid but book reading is not. That would be particularly bad. Stella also gets motion sickness reading in vehicles. So does Mrs. Angry. It's actually really quite common. As for you liked Steve Jobs' biography, I hardly ever read biographies, I have to admit. Abigail, you get horrible motion sickness when you read in a car or bus, but you can read on the train. There you go. Hey, Raiders, good evening to you. I think it's good morning in your part of the world, isn't it? You're just being polite and saying good evening to me, which, it's nice. Politeness is nice. Stella can't even read on the train. There you go. So I have not been reading. I think the last book I read, sorry, because you're not divorcing him this time. He said you take him out of context. Oh gosh. I think the last book I read was Bruce Pascoe's Dark Emu, which is a major fucking eye-opener. Subtitle for Bruce Pascoe's Dark Emu: everything you got taught in school about Aboriginal history is a fucking lie. Yeah. He's going to take you boat out on a lake for a Trump rally. I don't see anything ever going wrong. I'm trying to think. I still have the Audible app, but I don't have an Audible membership. They keep emailing me, go on, we'll give it to you really cheap. Library. Yeah, Dark Emu was the last book I listened to. And previous to that was Alan Moore's Jerusalem, which is a fucking epic. It's well over 1,000 pages, maybe 1,500 pages. And it's in 6 parts. And like part 1 is 11 and a half hours, as is part 2. Part 3 is only 9 hours. Part 4 is 10 hours. Part 5 is 10 hours. and part 6 is 8 hours 40 minutes. Took a long time listening to that for a couple of hours a day to get through it all. And it's a pretty wild bit of writing, actually. Peter, according to Goodreads, you read 18 books this year. Nice. But to be fair, some of them are pretty short. That's okay. It's still good. Kirsty, we're trying to find stuff to do for 2 weeks of quarantine, and you said read. That was the context. Okay. Yeah, I think reading would be a big part of quarantine. Depends, again, what the environment is and how much control you have over the environment. If you could watch stuff on disc or on a streaming service. As you're giving yourself a few challenges with that. Hey, Macaroon Granola. Hey, from Michigan on Twitch. Book title, read the thing is read any book. So we were swapping, everyone was talking, in fact my one was non-fiction, Jerusalem's fiction though. I was tempted to sign back up to Audible for the dramatization of Neil Gaiman's Sandman they've released, actually. Macaroon Granola, you're a writer guy, writes about fossils and animal evolution. Not published, but working. Dude, that is an excellent thing to be. I assume you're doing a lot of research for your writing at the moment. That is an excellent area to be looking at. Oh, gosh, your husband will be working, so you'll have to be a quiet mouse for 8 hours. Yep, that sounds like reading. That absolutely sounds like reading. Oof. Yep, so, yep. Drinking and doing drugs sounds out of the question if husband is working. Yep, be stocking up on the reading, I guess. Yep, I mean it's a grand old adventure you're on, new job in a new city, which is awesome and excellent. But in these strange times of ours, they're having to go into 2 weeks quarantine. Yep. You're taking on. It just reminds me of the joke. Someone I guess it qualifies as a meme, although it wasn't widely shared. Someone, when you put words on a picture, and it's a waitress taking orders from a family at a restaurant, and the family say, "We've just arrived from Melbourne. What should we get?" And the waitress says, "Fucked." And it's just because for those who've been missing out, the only place in the country to get hit hard by a second wave of COVID infections is Melbourne. And for a period of about a month, when it was getting worse and worse here, for the last month, it's been getting better and better because of our lockdown. But when it was getting worse and worse, literally, it felt like every time you heard a story about new cases in one of the other states, in a city in one of the other states, and somewhere in there would be person from Melbourne. There was always a person from Melbourne. I have to admit, I found it piss funny. I was just like, yes, we are filthy and disease-ridden, and we're infecting all of you. Macaroon, if you want to check out cool and seemingly impossible weird fossil on the internet, do an internet search with the keywords four-legged fossil snake. That's the name of my heavy metal band, Four-Legged Fossil Snake. That is an excellent idea. So, Raiders, Michael Cohen's new book should be a fun read. It's probably going to be self-serving crap, but because he now seems really determined to dump on Trump, it's probably going to be funny. I would, at the risk of sounding like a Trump supporter, I suspect Cohen's book is going to be not completely trustworthy, but I suspect it's going to be funny. Oh, yeah, fuck yeah, Stella. The idiots who with their self-serving, I don't want to follow the rules for COVID protest, actually doing Nazi salutes in front of the Shrine of Remembrance. They are such fucking garbage. They are the fucking worst. They just suck so hard. Oh, Alexa, I bet it's affecting Victorian applicants for interstate jobs. It didn't affect Kirsten. Got a job interstate. I'm just waiting because my current job, I'm meant to stay, for the next year, but I don't have an official contract past the end of this month. And so I have actually been talking to other people about potential jobs. I'm just really intrigued about the recruitment process in this current weird time. Ooh, okay, Macaroon with the big question. Filling because most people are watching on YouTube. Macaroon's watching on Twitch. The big question: what's the greatest book of all time? I am probably like a sad 20th century nerd going to say Lord of the Rings. Read it like 20 times. I haven't read it for a while. I might read it again, actually. Wonder if there's a good audio book of The Lord of the Rings. Let's look it up. Lord of the Rings. Searching. Lord of the Rings. Of course, there's audio books of it. But who reads them? Rob Inglis. I don't know who Rob Inglis is. Okay. Okay. Don't know who Rob Inglis is. But it looks like there's some... there's a dramatized one. Now, good. Okay. This one's tempted. It's got Ian Holm in it and Michael Hordern and Robert Stevens. Oh, this person really didn't like it. Bought this expecting to be the classic Lord of the Rings, but with added music, different voices and sound effects. I was wrong. They've completely written the entire story, loses the magic of the book. Some of the voice acting is terrible, such as the voice for Gollum. Actual audiobooks terribly mixed. Loud parts being too loud, soft parts being too quiet. Ooh, that guy hated this. Another dramatized one. Oh no, that's just the second book. Okay, I don't think I want a dramatized one. Okay, so the one on Audible is read by a guy called Rob Inglis, and I don't know who that is. Ooh, wait, what was that? Yep, they keep giving me free offers, trying to get me to go back. I might, I don't know. Abigail, yes, I read the Silmarillion way back. It's much denser and less easy to read than Lord of the Rings. Kirsten got your jib via Zoom. Nice. Yes. Great. A moron with a trespasser sign his front door got flattened by the popo. Alexa, 100 Years of Solitude. That sounds familiar. What is that one? Kirsten, you're a big fan of Anne of Green Gables, the book series. Stella likes The Winds of Winter. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, I get the joke there, actually. Yes. Ooh, Macaroon, you've got the greatest book of all time titled Many Skies by Arthur Ugren, except the first two paragraphs of chapter 1 where he explains the defunct theory of lunar origin. Nice. Is that fiction or non-fiction? I'm completely unfamiliar with that. So this conversation's great because I'm finding out about books I don't know. Pete, you think best Australian books either Praised by Andrew McGann or He Died with a Falafel in His Hand by John Birmingham? I have not read either of those. I've seen the movie adaptation of He Died with a Falafel in His Hand. Alexa, that's a Garcia Marquez book. Arthur Upgreen. Oh, okay. Still not familiar with it, but good. Oh, yes, Kirsten's actually moving interstate for the job, which is a big deal in this kind of thing. But yes, after quarantine, you will be allowed to go to the pub, which is a step up. We shall not be frequenting pubs very much in Melbourne for at least, I don't know, a month or two, at least like 2 months, probably, at least. Luke, you're getting 31 tomorrow. You're in Adelaide, yeah? We usually get what you get a couple days later. What's the week got for us? Jesus, not this fucking week, mate. We're not getting that. We got tomorrow's a maximum of 24, then 20, 16, 20, 20, 18, 18. What's funny is the minimum overnight on Tuesday, 16, is the maximum for the next day. That's weird. But it's spring. Melbourne's weather's always all over the place, but more so in spring, I reckon. So, yeah, we're having wait, are they predicting rain? I wasn't even paying that close attention. Rain on Tuesday. Rain later. Right. So some, I don't know. I hope the weather is sort of stays shitty for the rest of the lockdown, quite honestly. Raiders, chat 10 looks 3 Lee Sales, Annabelle Crabb's podcast. Oh, there you go. Good one. Good one. Chat 10. Lee Sales and Annabelle Crabb do a podcast, which is good for book recommendations. Excellent. Excellent. I'm trying to think, what are the last Australian books I read? They were quite enjoyable. It was Anna Spargo Ryan's first book, which was very good. Oh, and oh god, I'm going to get her. Her name is the medieval ballista. Like it's Justine Labalista. Like it's that her surname is one of those medieval heavy crossbows. She's written a few books. I was going to try and get some more. And the one of hers I read was called Razorhurst, which is set in Darlinghurst in the time of the Razor Gangs, which is inner Sydney in the 1920s, except it's a ghost story. It's fucking awesome. Yeah. Pretty intense. Still, you got 32 today. We got 20-something today. It was quite sunny in the middle of the day. My career in that book is one of the books written by Professor Emeritus to help people figure it all out before you take the intro class, creative and imaginative. That actually sounds really good. That does sound really good. This is great. We can all recommend books, expand our horizons. Loving it. I haven't even been reading my comics, actually. I'm quite a fan of comics. My favorite collaborative duo is Ed Brubaker, the writer, and oh god, what's the artist's name? I was going to say John Smith, but no, he's another writer. Oh god, I'm really upset. But they have a series called Criminal, which is really good, which is about criminals. Kirsten, you only wore one jumper on your walk today. What time of day was it? Because I did a walk at about 4 o'clock when it had cooled down a bit, and I just wore this T-shirt. If I'd gone in the middle of the day, I definitely wouldn't have wanted more than this T-shirt. I probably could have done with a light a top over the top of this T-shirt. But yeah, it was one of the warmest days so far today. And tomorrow is possibly even warmer before it starts to turn a bit again. My Korean, last Australian book you read is titled Platypus, The Extraordinary Story of a Curious Creature Baffled the World, written by an historian named Anne Moyal. Totally blew your mind. Excellent. You do appear to be into the sciences, which is a fine thing to be into. Because you went about 4. It did start to get cooler at about 4, definitely. Ooh, Radies, you like M. Rusticana? I think I always get her. I have no idea how to pronounce her name, actually. Rusciana? I know who you do. I think I follow her on Twitter. Her podcast, Emsolation, with Michael Lucas, is a great fun listen. Excellent. Well, I haven't even been keeping up with my podcasts. My favorite remains the Blind Boy podcast. I listen to a couple political ones like Even More News and Behind the Bastards and Worst Year Ever, and occasionally Chapo Trap House. An Australian political one called Australian political one called Bunta Vista. And occasionally listen to entertainment ones. I was listening to Michael Moore's podcast for a while. I haven't listened to it for quite a while. If he's got someone on to interview, they're quite good. There's some entertainment podcasts that are fun. The Daily Zeitgeist can be fun. How Did This Get Made is fun. They find a film that they just reckon is fucking terrible, and the 3 or 4 comedians will just tear into it, literally going, how did this get made? This is the worst idea ever. Another good entertainment one, The Rewatchables, another film one. These guys who are really into film, they basically just talk about their favorite films that they think are really rewatchable, and they deconstruct them, and it's usually good fun. An Australian one I picked up and I've started to listen to because I want to learn a bit. It's called The Frontier War Stories. I have listened to the first 2 episodes of that. They're now up to 12 episodes, so I've got to catch up. But yeah, it's basically trying to educate people about the frontier wars. For those who don't know what that is, again, among the many, many lies we're told about Aboriginal Australia, one is that they didn't resist. They did quite a bit. And in fact, the last battles of the frontier wars happened in the 1920s. There was still armed resistance into the 20th century. And this is telling us a bit about it. Raiders Mueller, a podcast called Mueller, She Wrote, for American Politics, stems from the Mueller Report. Jesus, that seems like a million years ago, doesn't it? Yeah, Safa Fury Road is one of the ones they talk about. Actually, look, some of the ones they go in the rewatchables. Because I actually only listen to ones when I know the movies, and they do some I'm not very familiar with, so I don't bother to listen to them. But the rewatchables, going through, their recent ones. Dangerous Minds. That's that one with Michelle Pfeiffer. Cocktail. Actually, I've got to listen to that because I found the movie Cocktail hilarious. Like everyone involved in that fucking hates women. 40-Year-Old Virgin, Pump Up the Volume, Caddyshack, Bad Boys, Last of the Mohicans, Teen Wolf, Sandlot, Ghost, Conjuring, 25th Hour, Stand By Me, Swingers. That was the last one I listened to. They love the movie Swingers. Perfect Storm, Fletch, Say Anything, Boomerang, Armageddon, Back to the Future. So they've been doing that for a couple of years, so there's a lot of them, basically. Macaroon, you're not really into the sciences. Natural philosophy. Okay, I get the distinction. Sciences get stuck in endless paradoxes without ever actually resolving enigmas. I think evolution's just a fancy word for baby making across species lines. Maybe. Safa, it kind of feels like Australia has lost federation currently. The states are certainly acting very autonomous and telling the federal government to get fucked, which is hilarious to watch. Skimmer's going, okay, there shouldn't be closed borders. Everyone should just move around all the time. And the states are going, or counterpoint, you could get fucked. And to be fair to the states that have really limited travel between states, we have only seen a significant outbreak in the second wave of coronavirus in Victoria. And it is absolutely obvious if we'd had unrestricted travel between the states, there would have been equivalent outbreaks in every state. Anyone who says otherwise is full of shit. Absolutely full. Anyone who says unrestricted travel wouldn't have led to outbreaks on a similar scale in the other states is absolutely full of shit. For instance, Scotty from marketing, he's full of shit. And he's trying to tell the premiers, you shouldn't restrict borders. And the premiers are going, go fuck yourself. Like we're in the mola fish. The mola fish, that sounds really familiar. You reckon it's somewhere between a stingray and a fish. There are a lot of, because, I mean, you look the similarities between sharks and rays. That's the fucking sunfish. Some people call it a sunfish. They're ridiculous. There was a really, really funny screed someone posted on their blog or on some website that he hated them and how stupid they are. And they are weird fucking fish. They are very weird. Can get as big as a rhino. Like they get stupidly large, and you'll sometimes see ones that have an enormous chunk bitten out of them and they're still going. Yes, Raider, that Scummo Cubby House photo op bullshit, and the media just lap it up. I mean, I refuse to sort of use the term fake news as an insult, because I refuse to validate the horrific and destructive behavior of Trump. But there are a lot of fucking lies in the media. But yeah. And Australian media is fucking pathetic. Absolutely. They just fail so badly in their job. Alexa, you think that's the whole point in having states as opposed to provinces? Yep, I'm not sure of the what do you call it? Legislative difference. Oh, sorry. So I just noticed, as a geologist, you have issues with that statement. So of course you do. But yes. Yes, Raiders. The picture of Scotty from marketing with the circular saw and working like it was like everyone's going like, that's just wrong. That's not how you use one. This is a stupid fucking staged photo, and there's about 6 things in it that are wrong, and this is fucking dumb. What the fuck is wrong with you, man? It's like when they just act as stenographers for him. They just repeat everything he says without any analysis. Like he went on that ridiculous thing about, I've got a deal for a vaccine if it comes through from this company. And it's absolutely meaningless. And even after the fact, the company said, no, you don't. What the fuck are you talking about? And it's like last year when they were saying this ridiculous fucking shit about, we've got plans, we project, and they said like, they actually said, we have brought the budget back into surplus next year. It's like we have past tense done something, past tense, next year, future tense. And of course it all got blown out of the water by coronavirus, but now people have looked at it seriously, and they fucking didn't at the time. They've looked at it and go, they were talking shit anyway. They were literally and there's a whole different argument as to whether that's even the best economic policy. But they were lying when they said like, no, we've structured it so we'll definitely be in surplus next year. They were lying. They're just fucking pieces of shit. PBA can't decide between Behold a Pale Horse by William Milton Cooper, Steinbeck's Grapes of Wrath, Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson, or Lord of the Flies by William Goldman as G-Boat. Those are all good selections. You're a fan of the classics. Loving it. Luke, is the next budget in 4 weeks or so? Dude, no fucking idea. Shit like that is so meaningless to me. I just don't know. It normally would be in July, but fuck knows what's happening now. Yep, I think my favorite book. See, I think you just go with favorite. You don't have to justify shit. As I did say, Lord of the Rings. I'm also quite a fan of William Gibson. Love his writing. He's got a new one out. Ooh, that's what I feel. Okay. Jesus, maybe I should. Oh God, maybe I should just get books. I don't know. Maybe I should get the audio books though. Does Audible? What does Audible have in William Gibson world? William Gibson. He's the cyberpunk author. Okay, Agency. That's the new one, which is a sequel to The Peripheral, I think, which was fucking great. Ooh, and there's a That's right. There's a dramatized version of his script for Alien 3. Archangel. Oh, that's right. That's a comic he wrote. Ooh, do they have his old books or not? They really don't. They have his new books. Because he's been writing books since the 80s. Agency. I love William Gibson's writing. He's great. For the budget's in October. Thanks for that tip, buddy. Yeah, they delayed it by 3 months because of the Rona. They were trying to sort out what the fuck the Rona meant. There is that. Yeah, let's see. Something like, but as soon as I think about it, but I'm not going to do it because I can't really work while listening to an audiobook because I can't concentrate on the audiobook and do my work at the same time, which involves writing and using my brain. But I can listen to music and do that. It's just when a real banger comes on, I have to sort of pause work, turn up the volume and dance around the kitchen for a while. And that's actually not a joke. That's a thing I will do to a real classic. On one level I'm going, I should get Audible back and listen to books. But what I'd normally do is I'd listen to them on commutes, and I'm not commuting. And someone say, well, just set aside an hour, and it's as if you are commuting. Yeah, but I get antsy. I'm just lying here listening to something. But it's probably something I should do, actually. Just set aside an hour. Maybe in the middle of the day to break the day up. Yeah, maybe I should. Just have some lunch and then lie down and listen to an audiobook for an hour and then work for another 4 hours after that. I think I've almost talked myself into something. PBR, of your books, only one I've actually read is Lord of the Flies. I'm thinking there was a period where I was thinking, I should read a few classics. I read East of Eden. I haven't read Grapes of Wrath, but I did read East of Eden, and that was a pretty intense read. Yes, Safa, the only trouble is my bed to work commute is 45 seconds rather than 45 minutes. So wouldn't get through a lot of a book in that time. But maybe that would be good for my mental health, I think. I work for 4 hours because I just start early, have lunch, lie down and listen to, or go for a walk and listen to a book for an hour and then work for another 4 hours. That's actually probably a really good idea. Alexa, it's like working while listening to me. Listen in the background, listen to books in the background. Yeah, I'm all for podcasts. It's really funny. Sometimes I'll listen to a podcast while I'm working, and it's like, this is fine, it's fine. But at a certain point, like if the podcast gets really interesting, I either have to stop working or stop the podcast because I can't do both. But the entertainment ones, like rewatchables, I reckon I can listen to that and work because it's just fun. They're just riffing and having fun and whatnot. But if it's a serious one, well, not necessarily serious, but just one I want to concentrate on, I'll normally have to sort of hold off work whatnot. PBR, that is an extremely valid point about audiobooks. You do rely on the narrator's spin rather than using your own imagination. That is, in fact, an extremely good point. But that's not always a bad thing either. Macaroon, a question. Has anyone, again, just to people on YouTube, if you missed it, there's a question coming from Twitch. Has anyone read a book that came out in the 70s, it's now out of print, that's titled Riding Through Revolution by Louise Theroux? Ordered a copy, loaned it to a friend before I could read it. They never gave it back. They're not your friend anymore. Dude, that sucks. I am not familiar with that one. 1970s book called Riding Through Revolution by Louise Theroux. Yeah. No. Actually, God, 1970s and revolution, it just reminded me. Back in the day, which is to say the 80s into the early 90s, I used to read 2000 AD comics. That's the comic that has Judge Dredd in it. And they loved puns. They'd run stories where either the title for the story was a play on something quite famous, or characters were a pun, or individual episodes would have a title that was a pun. They loved puns and wordplay. And some years later, I was in an acting class in a community center. And there's this book, I don't know, someone had just left it there, was just sitting around. It wasn't like a library, it's just this book sitting there. And it was called Soul on Ice by Eldridge Cleaver. And I went, because one of the pivotal storylines for one of the characters in 2000 AD was called Soul on Fire. And I thought, that's why they called that Soul on Fire. It was a play on this book, which I assume people knew about, called Soul on Ice. And I read the book. It turns out to be, it was a fairly pivotal book in the Black Revolution, Black Identity Revolution movement of the 60s and 70s. Eldridge Cleaver was quite a big name in that scene. And yeah, I only picked that up and read it because I recognized it was a source for the wordplay in this other title. So don't fucking diss comics is all I'm saying. So for what were the price of comics back in the 80s? I know a couple of dollars, probably about a quarter of what they are now. So if you get comics now, I reckon in the 80s, they were about a quarter of the price you're paying now. That's my guess. I think it was a couple bucks. I'm honestly, they're in a box. I actually kept them. I have a collection. I could go back and look at the cover of. They're in the. I'm not doing that because they're in the garage. But I could go back in the box and check the. Or 2080 comic 1985. So I just brought up 2000 AD from 1985. It was 24p. Wait, what? Ooh, and it's got international prices, but it's really small. If I look and just want to see large, I only want to see large images. No, that one isn't. I need one of these old covers that had all the prices on them. No. Incidentally, the Humble Bundle, which is something I recommend, is this thing where it's for a charity. Open image in new tab. What's this? Does this have as £1 at one point? Yeah, okay. Anyway, I'm going down a rabbit hole. But yes, the Humble Bundle. It's a website, does this stuff that raises money for charity, and they basically let you buy a bundle of stuff. And it's usually not new. It's normally old stuff. Like, like if they'll sell bundles with video games that came out 5 years ago, and you can buy a bundle of them really cheap. But they also do it with ebooks and in fact, comics. They got one which I think is still current that has all these 2000 AD collections. Like I think it's thousands of pages of 2000 AD and other comics that you can buy for like $20. I'm really tempted to get them. So Safa, if you want lots of comics to read, they won't be new, but in many cases they're new-ish. Go to Humble Bundle and buy some of their bundles. You electronic versions of them, but good. Ooh, Raiders, you think of Cass Ingalls in the 80s? Yes. I don't think I ever bought a Cass Ingalls. I think I always bought vinyl. And I did buy some CD singles. PBR, best celebrity book you ever read was Pamela Stevenson's biography of hubby Billy Connolly. That does sound good. Oh, yeah, Abigail, I have so many games I've never even downloaded after buying them on Humble Bundle. Alexa, an intro Linux book in Linux Victoria group. There you go. Yes, Abigail, the comic bundles are so great. I have got a couple of them in the past, and I've never even read them all. So I'm really tempted to get this classic 2000 AD collection because it's thousands of pages of them. I'm going, I'm never going to read them if I do, but maybe we'll. Oh, thank you, Stella. 24p in the mid 80s or early 80s would have been about 45 cents. There you go. Yeah, and they upscaled. There's one that was from a bit later that was £1. So, yeah. I seriously, is when I was at college, and a girlfriend at the time, we do this thing where get a weekly comic. It's like Saturday morning as a little indulgence. We'd go down to the shopping mall, buy a donut, and a comic that was coming out weekly, and we'd sit down and have the donut and read the comic. And we were reading this really funny, silly, subversive British kids comic called Oink, which the framing they had of it, it was published by a pig, and most of the editorial contributors were pigs. But it was incredibly subversive. Like, it was really left politics, and because it was run by pigs, it was also a lot of vegetarian propaganda. It was really funny. Like, the most evil characters imaginable in the book were butchers. So it was in this really silly fart and poop joke book, was a lot of really subversive comics called Oink. And that was coming out weekly. And so we'd get that and read it and laugh at how silly it was and eat a donut. And then it stopped coming out weekly. So I had to get a different weekly one. And 2000 AD was coming out weekly. And I thought, I was always kind of been into Judge Dredd. So I started getting that, and I collected that for quite a few years. So for now, I didn't buy comics in Dubbo. I didn't get into comics till I was at uni. And like I said, it was for this silly reason, just as an indulgence with my girlfriend on a Saturday morning, we'd go down and get a comic and a donut. And it was just no S, Alexa. It was just oink, as in the noise that kids think pigs make, oink. It ran for a few years, went from weekly, and then they started just putting it out, I think, monthly. It was either fortnightly or monthly. But there's a lot of very silly, subversive humor in it, which is a great way to get in your subversive politics by just making it look silly. And it's a kid's comic. Then I started buying 2000 AD and got really into that. And then a friend who was in the comics said, you should read Sandman by Neil Gaiman. And I was like, I took it under advisement. And then one day I was in a bookshop, I think it was in Sydney, and they had a sale bin, and there were books and comics, graphic novels, like collections, graphic novels. And I looked at it, one of them was Miracle Man, written by Neil Gaiman. I thought, oh, that's that dude that I got told to read. And this is really cheap because it's in the sale bin. So I got it, and it was fucking mind-blowing. Like, I didn't know comics could be that good. The writing was so good. And so then it was like, okay, I've definitely got to get into Sandman then, which was actually still running as a monthly comic at that point. So I started with the trade paperbacks of Sandman, read the first collection, second collection. By the time I read the collections and caught up, it was in the last story arc, which is called The Kindly Ones, which was fucking full on. Going from reading whole collections to getting one comic, then waiting a month for the next one. And each chapter, each month comic finished with like these fucking deadly cliffhangers. Like the last thing someone said in the comic was just like, fuck, oh my God, fuck. And sort of hanging out for the next one of what's going to happen. There's all this apocalyptic world ending stuff. Not our world, the Sandman's world, the realm of dreams, was facing an apocalyptic ending. And it was so full on. Very good comic, Sandman. And then Neil Gaiman got more, although he wrote a lot of comics, still occasionally does, got more into writing novels. And most recently, American Gods has been made into a TV show, which is pretty good. The book American Gods is quite good. TV show is pretty good too. Also, Good Omens, which he wrote with Terry Pratchett, got turned into a series, which was quite good. So what type of donut? I used to get like either one that had icing on it or cream on it, or those bear claws. You know, it'd vary. It was just like a little shopping mall bakery thing. Now, drink. Am I just going to have another fruit juice, or will I mix a drink? That's the question. So many possibilities. I think I might just have another fruit juice, actually. I don't know. What did Difford's recommend? Cocktail of the day from Difford's. There you go. The Mayflower, famous for taking the Pilgrims to America, set out from Plymouth in the UK on this day. Whenever I hear about that Plymouth, and because the Americans who obsess about Plymouth Rock, I just remember Malcolm X, Denzel Washington playing Malcolm X in the movie. So that kill line, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock landed on us. It's just like, yep, I hear that in my head every time someone mentions Plymouth or Plymouth Rock. Abigail, you remember collecting the original Marvel Transformers? Wow, in the 80s, 90s. Waiting a month for each issue was excruciating but exciting. There's something about that, and I've been getting a few monthly titles recently. Yeah, Stella, Orlando Jones won't be in the next season of American Gods. They wrote him out, and he was not fucking shy about saying it's because they're racist, basically. In his estimation, It's because the angry black man scared them too much, and they want to get away from that. And I know there seems to be a bit of thing to like saying, "Oh, we love Orlando, but we're just going in a different direction," which might be true. But the public statements I saw from Neil Gaiman seem to be trying to distance himself from the whole thing. It's like I suspect he thinks it's because Orlando Jones scared them as well, and he doesn't want to diss Orlando Jones. But he also doesn't want to get on because he doesn't really have control of the TV series, and he doesn't want to get on the wrong side of the people who do have control of the TV series. So, okay, another recommendation from Macaroon on Twitch. Latest book that's out, bookstores now, by Scottish writer named Kathleen Jamie, titled Servicing. No, again, not familiar. Not familiar with the writer or the book. So another question, is that a fiction or non-fiction? And what type of thing is that? Yes. I'm actually really glad we're having these conversations because it's making me want to get back into reading, which is a good thing. Do I want to get back into drinking? The Diffords recommends a Mayflower martini to commemorate it. What's in a Mayflower martini? Gin, elderflower, apricot brandy, apple juice. Well, I don't have apricot brandy or apple juice, so fuck that. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. What do they say are the top 100? They're saying they're just going based on traffic on their site. The most popular cocktail on the Difford site is, for the 5th year, Porn Star Martini. Goodness gracious. And even the ingredients are the best-selling ingredients on the Difford's shop. Amaretto sour. An espresso martini. Porn Star Martini I don't mind, but I'm going to do it. Amaretto sour, I like sours. Espresso martini, I fucking hate coffee. Dry martini, yes. Negroni, fuck the Negroni. Don't like that. The margarita, yeah, it's a fun drink. French martini. Gin basil smash, these are all good. Oh god, 80s. Slow, comfortable screw against the wall is in the top 10. And the Bloody Mary at number 10. Ah, the Hemingway Special Daiquiri. I made one of those in a video recently. That's like basically just use overproof ingredients. Oh, there you go. The Manhattan. Fan of the Manhattan. The Dirty Banana. Okay. No, they say that's because it's somehow got linked to One Direction and Harry Styles. A Snowball, which is a Christmas drink, apparently. Oh, White Lady's a classic. Oh, got another 80s one. Screaming Orgasm. The Hand Grenade. See, I don't know that one. Cantoritos. Ah, the Rustic Tequila Classic. Okay, and the Penicillin and the Vieux Carré are classics. Okay, I have to look at these ones I don't know. A Dirty Banana. Rum, coffee liqueur, banana liqueur, and cream, and a banana. Put it in a blender from the sounds of that. Yes, the blender one. But coffee, ew, gross. I'd make it without coffee. I hate coffee. What's a Snowball Christmas drink? Lemonade, lime juice, and Advocaat. God, that is a lightweight drink. That is a lightweight drink. Not saying I wouldn't enjoy it. Lemonade, lime juice, and Advocaat. But that is a fucking light. Only 2 ounces of something that's really low alcohol. Oh, that is such a lot. I'm being such a wanker saying it's a lightweight drink. Oh, nice, Kirsten. You're using up bits in bottles. A Mac old fashioned. Use up bits that are left in bottles. Excellent. Safa, you're right. A drink called the Dirty Jigger because I'm always trying to make jokes about the Dirty Jigger. I think I've heard of that film, PBR. Orlando Jones and the Chicago 8. Yes, musically about it. That was exactly what I said. I was reading on public transport, and I'm not taking public transport, so I'm not reading. Oh, God. Clapping for chlamydia. They call you coffee because you grind so fine. So PBR, that is about 8 anti-war protesters in 1968 on trial for conspiring to cause riots at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Yes, that was a big deal. Yes, I remember that. Okay. So the snowball, I'd probably like it, but I'm mocking it for being so lightweight. A hand grenade. Okay, I'm pretty fascinated by this. This is gin, rum, vodka, green melon liqueur, and pineapple juice. Wow. Wow. So that's going to be a green drink. Tempted to try that. And they've got these annoying measurements, 5/6 of an ounce. So in mils, that's 25 mils. 37.5 mils. That's like so fucking hard to measure. Just say 30 mils, you shit. 1 1/4 fluid ounces of green melon, 1 1/4 fluid ounces of pineapple. See, I'm tempted to make that. And what's a Cantaritos? This other one. Reposado tequila, orange juice, grapefruit juice, lime juice. So it's just tequila with a range of juices and topped with soda. So it's like a relative of the Paloma. Oh my God, the fucking vibrations. Why has that never happened before and it's just happened now? I don't know if that's these bottles have been moved somehow, so they're a different vibration point. Oh, is it that? Because I don't know if you were hearing it, but it was very loud and distracting to me. No, I think I'm just going to have a fruit juice. I'm going to have another booze drink tonight. Nothing wrong with taking a couple nights off the booze. Cantaritos, I'm not that interested, but the hand grenade sounds like fun. Gin, rum, vodka, and melon liqueur, and some pineapple juice. What's the amaretto sour? Because I could do this, make it a Mac sour. Amaretto, bourbon, lemon juice, and egg white. There you go. I do that with Mac. Ooh, and they go really heavy on the liqueur as well. Could do an Aussie version of an amaretto sour with Mac and some Starwood whiskey. Yes, I could. I think I will do that. Or will I do that tonight? See, now maybe I'm going to do that tonight. Abigail, you like your men like you like your coffee, ground up and in the freezer. Yes, Raiders. Melon liqueur is Midori. Yes. Kirsten, you have 45 bottles to finish. That, yeah, you are going to have to take some of them with you or have a garage sale or something. Ava, last year read, most of the Ian Banks cultures. I've heard those are good. Ian Banks switched between science fiction and fiction, and I was gifted one of his books that aren't science fiction, and it was really quite good. And yeah, I've often meant to read his science fiction ones. So many books in the world. So funny, Kirsten. I know I suspect you're saying yum to the amaretto sour or making it with Mac. But in the chat, that's right after Abigail said, "I like my men ground up in the freezer." So, and then you say yum to men ground up in the freezer. Oh, okay. All the you're finishing bottles that only have 100. That's doable. You can do that. You can do that. That's only like one drink each time. So that's only 45 drinks. How long do you have? That would just, you could do that in 2 weeks without doing permanent damage to your body. Abigail, technically you are correct. There once was a time when it was possible to have read all the books in the world. Yes. Ha! Oh God, Raiders. Your mate's mum used to work for the Australian distributor for Midori and you drank it like cordial. You kind of can, so long as you only have one or two. 9 nights. Look, that's a challenge. You can do it. You and husband could do that in. So over 9 nights, you effectively have to have 45 drinks. So it's like 5 drinks a night. Oh, between two of you, easy. Not easy. You're going to be really drunk a lot of the time, but you know. Yes, Abigail, technically correct is the best type of correct. Yeah, I'm going to make this fucking amaretto sour, but with Mac. Where is my Mac? There it is. Bloody hell. Mac. You know, one lovely game. I should save this up for a video. If I really like it, I'll just make it again. Almost out of twofold. Hello. It's a mysterious stranger coming into the kitchen. I need to get a couple of things. Right. Oh, can I show that off? I did show. Need to show you all something. I'm not sure if these colors will come through. When I make the milk clarified drinks I make, you end up with this curd in the filter, and it will be colored by whatever the spirits were you put through it. And because I made one that was dominated by blue curacao, so you got these blue curds, and then I made one that had a red vermouth in it. So it made these really purple curds, and Mrs. Angry mixed them in with a rice pudding, and so it's kind of green. It's very yummy because you actually do get the taste. You can taste sort of the cocktails in the pudding. It's actually really good. Yes, thank you. Ooh, I'm going to have some with ice cream. So I'm gonna have a rice pudding. Abigail, you'd accept donations of bottles you're unable to drink, and that's true. I think Kirsten and Abigail, you're actually within 5 kilometers of each other. Oh, there you go. Some only have 30. Yeah, no, you're going to knock them off easy. Although it's a fun project to come up with the best ways. I mean, obviously you can just have them, chilled or whatever, but to actually come up with some creative ways to drink them is a bit of fun, honestly. It does make sense to just get rid of the ones that there's just a little bit of residue in. It was such an interesting project. How okay, we're going to take these bottles with us, but these ones we're just going to finish. How do we finish them? What do we do to finish them? But okay, is that my one? Thank you. I'm going to put a bit of ice cream with mine. All right. All All right, I'm going to be a little bit crass and eat on camera because I've always been told that always looks bad on camera, someone eating. And I always berate AZ for it. But then he would do things like eat cereal on camera without his teeth in. And that's just not good. Oh, you've planned for lockup question. You've decanted 1.2 litres specifically for quarantine. Okay. Oh, this is good. The pudding is still a little bit warm. And I like it with ice cream. Mrs. Angry doesn't have it with ice cream, but I do. And also chopped up fruit peel from Oleosaccharides I've made. We keep the fruit peel. Mrs. Angry chops it up and puts that in desserts as well. So this is a very sustainable dessert. Abigail, you say BS to the don't eat on camera. It depends. I'm really comfortable with telling Aidsy, do not eat cereal on camera without your teeth in. That's just gross. Mimsy, you want to come over here? No. When you're just going to sit over there and lick yourself, whatever. Cat. BBR having some supper. Good enact. Safra should make a dessert channel, maybe. Mimsy, come here. Come here. You haven't said hello to people in forever. Come and say hello. Come up here. You want to sit up? You want to jump on my lap? Is that what you're saying? You can jump up here. Jump up, and I'll get you to say hello to everyone. Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, that's the way. That's the way. Yay! All right. You can see a tail, and it's Mimsy saying, hello, boys and girls. How are you all? Oh, go there. Go on your perch. There she is. No, you cannot have my dessert. Want to pat? No. All right. That's about all we're getting out of Mimsy. She's definitely eyeing off my dessert, though. Yeah, she's very into the head boobs. It's her saying, why don't you pat me? Always cracks me up when she does that. Just look, you're just there. Nudge, nudge, nudge. Why don't you pat me? She's a very funny cat. Gets quite demanding sometimes. Yum, yum, yum. Sorry, almost finished. Mimsy wants to leave. No, I might put this empty bowl in the sink and let Mimsy out. All right, back. Next, can you have people join with audio? Yeah, it doesn't have to be. Oh, do you want to come on and tell a story? Oh. Yeah, it's a bit of fruit peel, I think. Oh, that's coconut. Okay, I feel like Alexa wants to come on, so I'll do an open invite for anyone who wants to join. And yes, it can just be audio. I initially read that as can you hurt people with audio? I was talking about those crowd control devices. Oh, you mean help me eat peacefully? Well, I finished eating anyway. But I'm going to make a cocktail. Now I've decided I'm going to make this Mac sour. So I need to get the lemon juice. I've got the egg. Oh, I need to get my shaker and jigger as well. All right, get the components. Jigger, shaker. So the lemon juice I was squeezing is here. Lemon juice. And I just got to get my jigger. Okay, who's joining me? Mr. Alexa. Hello, sir.
Oh.
How are you?
Hello, hey.
How are you doing?
Yeah, very good. Thanks for letting me jump in or on.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks. Hello, everyone.
What have you been up to?
Oh, like a lot of things.
Yep.
Yeah, when you said maybe tell us a story, I was thinking which story to tell.
Yeah.
And then when you said, I don't know what you said, but I thought of a few things that I can throw out. You know, depends on what the audience better.
Yep.
There is one political one is about media that may get very boring and deep. But there's another one that I'm trying to help a friend run online performance. So she's losing all her work because, she used to do performance here and there and it was really good.
Yes.
But now she's losing it. And also like for the interest of audience, I'm techie and I like to think I'm a geek. But when I see other real geeks, I don't call myself a geek. But I want to put a good experience of live performance for her, Facebook audience or broader audience.
Yeah. What approach are you taking?
Well, so because there are new things in this for me, like, okay, when you said audio, that triggered that thinking because audio is new to me. I've never played with audio. So I want to be able to firstly, because for performance, I believe the quality of audio is really important. And because she's going to dance with the music and that's why I'm excited about bringing this up to online because I think it has different elements of engagement. People can listen to the music, people like also seeing the dance, but also because she's doing, she's from Eastern Europe, but she does Middle Eastern dancing. So there's a lot of cultural thing and visuals and colors and things like that involved. So it's got different elements, but the audio part for me, it's very new. And I'm trying to learn more about how I can bring in different parts of the different audio types in. And also, you've got comments?
Yeah. Oh, hang on a sec.
All right, I'll keep talking then. And I'm kind of building up the idea. Later on, I want to kind of create a club for her where people who are more regular, like Patreons and things like that, they can actually have some sort of control over the lighting in the room. So I want to use Raspberry Pi to allow, I've seen people doing it. It doesn't take much. So basically you get a few buttons or colors on your phone or website, whatever you're watching it through, and you press the buttons and when you press the button, you can actually see the lighting changes in the performance. And I think that's a very interesting experience for someone to do. Or maybe there could be, you can suggest, you can throw a YouTube link, which is a music, like the music part of it. So if the moderator of the session approves that, then that gets played. And she can improvise dancing. She can dance with anything. And that's what makes me excited to work with her, because then I know that, she can fill in the gaps in my teching competency with her improvising. So people can suggest the audio, and then she can dance on it and things like that.
Yeah. That sounds really interesting. I love the sound of that.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know if this is something of the thing. Oh, maybe I should read comments to understand whether this is boring for people or interesting.
No, I think it's interesting.
Okay,
absolutely.
Cool.
No. Actually, trying to find a way to bring performance to it is good. Oh, I just love Abigail just threw in from because you were worried you weren't a real geek. She's like, to hell with the idea of a real geek. Don't let anyone gatekeep geekdom to you.
Oh, thank you.
Ooh, I noticed Raiders with an interesting one. Changing the light color or putting a thing could be a donation-based thing. If people donate, they get to have an influence over what happens.
Yeah, like throwing like money in an
it's basically giving money to a busker. Yeah,
giving money to a busker. Yeah, thanks. Beautiful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Raiders saying use Streamlabs. I know if you have a monetized YouTube channel, they do this thing called Super Chat on a live stream where people can donate during a live stream.
Interesting.
But yeah.
The other comment that I want to make for people, I'm a really open source minded person. I like using the tools, but ultimately, so this thing, I'm making it with open source tools as much as I can. And for donations and everything, so I would put links to those places, but ultimately it can be something that the artist can actually own. So I want artists to be independent and choose to work with platforms instead of being locked in the platform. And because I'm a techie, I know how these kind of tech companies are doing it, and it's not really fair what they're doing with artists and art in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's so I like Raiders end. Yeah, they all take something, of course. YouTube tends to take quite a bit of the money anyone generates on YouTube. The
way I see it, because I see content, I analyze content on the internet, for example, with the analogy of supply chain. And in that analogy, you could see how YouTube, it's not just the commission, it's the fact that because YouTube is acting as different roles in the supply chain, it really drives out the whole creation part of it. Because I'm 100% positive that they're very, very aware of, especially those who architect and design this incentive mechanisms and everything. They're very aware of it. So the trade-off is whether we want to let the whole thing flourish or we want to own most part of a dry land. So what I'm seeing is that they've chosen to own most part of a dry land instead of being in a small part of a tropical forest in that analogy. And that bugs me.
Well, you've definitely generated some interest among people. I mean, and that's I've noticed just with performers are facing real challenges, and I've seen a few variations of people going like, hey, we're going to do a live thing, whether they're a music performer or a comedian or whatnot, and they use platforms where you have to buy tickets to see the live performance, live from someone's bedroom, I assume. So people are getting very creative. So if you're able to come up with a creative alternative for an artist, performer, I think it will definitely generate interest.
Maybe like it's a bit of a confession. I'm accused of being an idea man, and I've learned that I can generate ideas, and it's best when I kind of find a group of people whom I can be part of, because as they do things, I can actually, as I understand how things actually work, because I can ideate for what the music's going to look like or what the performance is going to look like. But when I work with some of those people, that helps me ideate even more, and I can find my place in the team very quickly. I think so. This is I think a gap that I have in my, especially for this case, for example, that is not happening. When lockdown started, and also a lot of basketball courts, the tennis courts and things like that were shut down. And I thought, okay, so this whole basketball place can be a whole gigantic performance thing for artists to come solo and perform, and you can have different cameras in different angles, and you can actually let people, it depends on what technology they have, they can actually experience it like very good in 3D if they want to. However, these are all ideas that comes from me knowing about the technology part of it, but it doesn't happen because I'm not working with a team. So if I don't know how to fill in this gap, that's why it's a bit of a confession, because I feel the guilt myself. Yeah,
but it's definitely the time to experiment and explore, because everyone's looking for things. I'm experimenting and exploring with this. I think it needs a little bit of sweetener in it. I'm going to improvise just a little bit, pour that back in, and I've got a special sweet and sour mix I made.
Yeah, Abigail, totally 100%. So Abigail is talking about scam streaming web pages that ask for credit cards. It's gone to the roof, the credit card scams in all formats.
Yes. Scams have definitely increased under the coronavirus.
Angry is Patreon. Safa says angry. Did we talk about, like, Safa is a Persian word? That's nice. Also, I think
it's
what it's
an abbreviation of his actual name. I think. What does Safa mean?
Safa means a different connotation. Is like joy, enjoying yourself, things like that, or being very pure. It's the same. It comes from the same root from Sufi.
Yep,
I believe it's the same kind of realm of meanings.
Okay. There you go, Safa. I bet you didn't know that about your chosen screen name.
So Kristen says, I know several people who would be interested to know the success of the venture. If you're talking about this venture thing that we just explored about online performance, and I want to make it like a thing that every local, like Bendigo, someone in Bendigo, like a tech person in Bendigo can, because it's going to be open source, someone in Bendigo can say, okay, so I'm going to put this together and enable artists in Bendigo to play for their own neighbors. That's how I'm thinking. I'm not thinking of yet another platform to dominate the world. I want to bring it to local. So just a clarification.
That's excellent. On Hi Annette too, who's come in. But yeah, it's definitely, as you say, there is the danger of this is proven to be a good time for scammers, but it's a good time for innovation as well.
Mm-hmm.
As you say, and with your allegiance to open source, I think you'd get a lot of interest because, things changed so much, and I mean, it's not really a competition for who was the hardest hit, but there are very few people hit harder than the entertainment industry. Hospitality, I think, are the ones who, and in fact, entertainment's copped it harder than hospitality because some hospitality ventures have been able to continue to operate in one form or another. But virtually every avenue for earning money for entertainment.
Sometimes also indirectly, because now that you're talking about it, like a local artist, they would run gigs that was their connection to their fans. So now that's cut out. Now they've lost the connection. One of the main ways of connecting with their fans, they've lost that of running local gigs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Just going to show off. I love the foamy head on my macadamia sour. Kind of looks a bit like a little beer, but the foamy head. But that's egg white. So. Oh yeah, that little bit of sweetener. Maybe I've just got a sweet tooth. It was good before, but I put a little bit of sweetener in, and it's better now. So I'm happy.
Cool. And I think I did my contribution, so you can kick me out. It doesn't have to get awkward. Good. Yeah, I'm happy to hang around.
Ooh, I love Raiders. Speaking of innovation, there's comedy being performed at drive-ins in the States. That's great in terms of innovation. I love that. The idea that you'd set up a little stage and because normally you're beaming the sound from the movie to the cars either through a little speaker, or I think these days they tend to do it through FM radio or Bluetooth. But have the performer in front of all the cars and beaming the sound of the live performance into the cars. That sounds like fun. I like that. Kirsten, the Max Sour, I followed a recipe Jeffrey Morgenthaler's recipe for an amaretto sour, which is 1.5 ounces, 45 mils of the Mac, 1 ounce, 30 mils of the whiskey, and I actually used the twofold, 1 ounce of lemon juice, and an egg white. They said half a fluid ounce of an egg white, but I'm just putting an egg white in. It was actually a lot more than half a fluid ounce. And then I put 15 mils of sugar syrup in as well. It was good without the sugar syrup, but I'm going, my personal taste, I think I'd like it a bit sweeter. So a little bit of sugar syrup as well. Macaroon, welcome back. I keep hearing people say like drive-ins going to make a comeback for movies because it's very challenging to open cinemas on a large scale, because a large group of people in a closed space for a long time, that's extraordinarily high risk for virus transmission. So even if it's legal for people to be going back to cinemas, it's quite a high risk proposition. So I have seen a lot of people saying, well, are drive-ins going to make a comeback? There's at least one drive-in still operational in Melbourne. But I think there's a technology side that is quite challenging. Like even if the physical drive-in space is still there because no one's ever done anything with the abandoned drive-in, there's a technology element of it that's actually quite challenging. So I don't know.
What do you mean challenging? What is challenging?
Well, you've got to have the right projector, like, because they would have taken the projector away. You need the drive-ins use a different projector.
But it's comedy though. It's a stand-up. You just need.
No. Sorry, I was back to talking about movies.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Robot Man Greg's concurring with Raiders. It's Coburg. The Coburg drive-in in Melbourne is still operational. I'm not sure if it's still running at the moment, but I think it had the capability to run movies. So yeah, I was thinking purely of movies. They need a specific projector, and it's different to a cinema projector. And you need a way to make sure the sound's getting to all the cars. Whereas if it was a stand-up thing, you just need the sound side, which is
this is stand-up thing. Because it's going to be audio, like it's great. It's very, very accessible. So it removes a lot of tech requirement. Like what you said, FM, which was brilliant. I would have thought of Bluetooth or like a simple app or things like that.
Yeah.
Or a website. Yeah, that makes.
Some way of streaming it. And last time and it was a long time since I've been to a drive-in, but the last time I went, they were using FM radio. Like you tuned your car radio to the band they told you to tune. The drive-in I grew up with was the classic one. You parked next to these posts, and there was a really shitty mono speaker there that you pulled off the post, wound down your window, and then hung it off your car window. That was really shitty sound from just this little mono speaker. But that was what I grew up with. FM stereo in your car is much better sound. But yeah, something streaming, whether it be a website or Bluetooth or FM or digital radio signals.
So let's be more practical now. If we actually, let's say we take over like an area, right?
Yeah.
When people drive in, the main the issue I think would be, I guess, toilets, because it's coronavirus now. You can't just put a kind of one of these big containers like those kind of things. So how would we solve that issue if we want to enable this to happen? Because it's going to help people come out of their house in the convenience of their car and safety.
Yes.
Well, right?
Traditionally, it was like, there was an amenities block at the drive-in. There was a snack bar that would do food and drinks, and there was a toilet block, like as you'd have at a public park or a sporting ground or something. If you're setting up a new venue, you could hire portaloos. That's actually and you probably get good deals at the moment because all the events that were usually hiring the portaloos have all been cancelled. So the portaloo rental companies would all be pretty hard up for cash at the moment. So
Can you explain that? What is it?
Oh, it's the individual. I'll find a picture and share it. But it's basically portable septic toilets, and in Australia, let's see, open image in new tab. Oh, okay. I just want some large images. Sorry. Tools, size, large. Oh yeah, that looks like this looks like a classic picture to me. That is not a large image, you fucks. Oh look, I'll actually just share the search page so people can see it.
Why can't I comment this? I want to engage in the comments line and not cut you every.
Oh, I thought you could.
It doesn't let me. Maybe let me explore it a bit more. But I wanted to rate is who's your favorite comedian?
Oh, we have this. So those are some stock images of portaloos. That's what portaloos. Those are each individual little cubicles.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes. Okay, cool. Thanks.
There's a septic system in each of them. They use them at music festivals and whatnot. So
I've seen it in St Kilda near the beach. Don't you think this would be because of the public health situation now? This would probably not be a good idea. Is that right?
You would absolutely have to consult, like with the authorities about the public. But there are regulations. It's like if you're having the portaloos are for outdoor events. If you're having an event where you expect this many people, you have to have this level of amenity for them.
Yeah.
So,
but what do you think, regardless of regulation, if you want to do the right thing, just like roughly, what do you think? Not being an expert, just to me, it feels like it's a shared facility and it's not a good idea to me, just like randomly.
Yeah. The portaloos, I think, is like, one portaloo per 100 people or something is like the rule, but.
Because I heard, because I've been randomly following kind of research on coronavirus, I think shared toilets have also been a source of kind of infection in cases, or there's some debate.
You mean in terms of coronavirus?
Yeah. It's a specific.
No, they're a very high risk environment. They are, because it's aerosolizing when you flush the toilet, because
it's about flushing.
Coronavirus is in bodily waste, because it's one of the tests they do is to test sewage in areas to see how much of it's showing up. And Dan Andrews said this in his press conference today. There are some areas where there's no confirmed cases, but they've tested the sewage in those areas and found coronavirus. So they know there are people in these areas that have it, but they haven't been tested. I just wiped because I got all the foam from my egg white in here, and I just tipped it up, and it was just all over my moustache and whatnot, being filthy. But I was just trying to get the last of it, and then the ice tipped up and tipped it all in my face. So
yeah, finish that, because then I want to talk about a story about toilets.
Okay, tell us a story about toilets, man.
Yeah, so I was. That was my first introduction to hippie culture and permaculture.
Yeah.
So in Australia, and I've found it fascinating that like there are half of Australians who don't know this exists, and half who do and attend Confest.
Yeah.
Right. So I went to Confest. My friend told me about it, and we went. So the toilets, they set up the toilets, and because there's it's different. I think that risk wouldn't be in those toilets that set up in that manner, because the whole thing goes down.
Yeah.
So they probably wouldn't have the risk of infection at all whatsoever. So basically, everyone can be given a one-time use. How would you call it? Like a seating, like a toilet.
Seat cover. Yeah.
What's that said again? Seat cover.
A seat cover, something that covers the seat, so
Yeah, and we can just use it for every use, and that would be fine. And then that may actually solve that problem, maybe.
Yeah. Yep, quite possibly. Where I grew up in the bush, some of the farms that didn't have connections to the sewage system, they actually had toilets, we called them thunder boxes. Someone actually just excavate a huge hole and put the toilet on top of it. And so you have that for a couple of years. Just filling. You just imagine the horror of falling in there in years worth of it.
Oh,
Not good. But you do get composting toilets as well, things that don't.
yeah. My friend in Byron Bay has one. The whole, you know how they are there over there. Yeah, totally. It's beautiful. Also, I think in general, such a toilet would be something there would be some demand for it in the COVID normal world anyways, isn't it?
Yeah, quite probably. Yeah, like I said, there's lots of room for innovation at the moment. Because everyone's needs are changing really rapidly, and when needs change, it opens up opportunities, and not in the vulture capitalist style, not in the predatory, I'm going to screw these people out of some money way, but literally meeting a need that people have now and giving you an opportunity to turn it into something. But yeah.
We've got 2 comments. Macroon Gunula. First time I'm meeting him, making a few notes about business. I'll get back to you after I read it carefully. But Abigail says, I had the same similar experiences. Like in Confess, for those who don't know, there are different villages, and every village has its own rules. And you can imagine what kind of rules it is. Like non-smoking, only nude optional, and only smoking, all sort of things, anything, there would be different varieties. And in some of them, especially, you would not fit in probably, and you would feel that by the way people look at you.
I could imagine that. Yeah. Safa reckons Russian public toilets are the worst. Dude, there would be a very serious competition for worst public toilets in the world. Some of the stories I've heard, both about Southeast Asia and even South Asia, the Indian subcontinent, I've heard some pretty extravagantly bad stories about public toilets in certain parts of the world. I think there would be a pretty serious competition for the worst public toilets in the world. But I'm not sure I even want to go down that path because it just sounds really horrible.
Funny.
Yeah, but well, a lot of places are just the hole in the floor. That's the toilet is the squat toilets, which are quite popular in a lot of areas in Asia that I know of. Westerners find them really confronting. It's like it's not even a seat to sit on; it's a hole in the floor you're meant to squat over. And a lot of Westerners find that really confronting.
I've also seen Westerners who convert to that, even when they come back here. They try to find the little plastic things that actually I
have seen on the internet people who are big proponents of the squatting. They say it's healthier than sitting because you're already flexing in a particular way when you're squatting.
I don't know how graphic it is for people, but there's some sort of joy in emptying the whole thing that you only experience when you do that, and you probably don't even know that.
A release.
Release.
The relief of release. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Megaleech is going. Japan has the best public toilets. Japan is notorious for having really high tech toilets that warm you and spray you with water and all these things. Yeah. Yes, Abigail's mentioning in Thailand there were public toilets that didn't have toilet paper, just a hole. I saw that, not so much the hole in the ground, but no toilet paper in public toilets in the Philippines. Safa's saying they have the squat toilets in Russia. There you go. I know that book. Macaroon's saying read a travel book that had a whole chapter about horrible toilets in India. The book's called No Touch Monkey. I am familiar with that book. Funny travel books are a bit of a thing. Oh wow, Stella, you one of your worst experiences, a long drop, which I was calling Thunderbox. We also call the long drop because it's a huge hole in the ground. So if you're like pooing at the top, that's a long drop down to where it's going. And it was on a 45-degree day. Previous user had failed to close the lid. All right, so the smell was just coming up nonstop. I have seen some on the roadside. They're actually pretty good. They were composting toilets. They were long drop toilets that were composting. And there was this outside the toilet, there was this vent. There's a raised vent, and it was supposed to be just dissipating the bad smell. It was like a pipe that went, I don't know, about 3 meters up, and then there was a release vent. And that was, the design was supposed to be all the bad smell, which is a rising smell, was channeled out this vent, which let it out at a relatively high thing, and it wafted away, so it wasn't meant to smell too bad. And that actually worked reasonably effectively. A little bit of innovation in roadside toilets in Australia. So, yeah.
About that, I have driven randomly in country Australia. I love it, and I invite everyone to do that, and at your own risk. Seek legal advice before you. And one of those toilets I opened, and there was like a big spider. And maybe my memory, I reconstructed even bigger than what it is. I have photos, so I can always listen. Yes, so always beware of that in the country.
Yes, yeah. We had the famous song, a novelty song that was very popular when I grew up, called "There Was a Redback on the Toilet Seat." There was a redback on the toilet. I remember the lines. There was a redback on the toilet seat when I went there last night. I didn't see it in the dark, but boy, I felt its bite. And I think the joke of the song is he got bitten on the dick by the spider, and then goes on this whole story about having to go to hospital and tell people where he's been bitten. But
it's horrible.
Oh, wowzers. Stella's saying with the one she's talking about, it's not just the smell, but it took 300 kilometers to get the flies out of the car because it had attracted so many flies. As soon as they opened the car up, flies swarmed into the car. As he opened the door, it was like Hollywood spacecraft, explosive decompression. Opened the door and all these flies surged in. The bush flies in Australia, that's another thing when you get an enormous amount of flies just harassing you. Although Kirsten liked being a white girl in line at toilets in Asia because you got to cut the line when there's a Western toilet. They must have been feeling charitable and going, oh, God, this is the only toilet you can cope with. You better go in here. Something like that. Oh, wow, it's 10 o'clock. I just realized it's 10 o'clock. Which is my bedtime. So thanks for joining in for a little stint, Alexa.
Thank you so much. It's fun.
Yeah, it's always fun. So I'm probably doing a TV watching night tomorrow night, so I'm probably not going to be doing a live stream tomorrow night. But then I probably am for the rest of the week. I mean, anything can happen. So
can you wait? Sorry, because I got a bit anxious that you may cut and I missed some of the comments. Let me take a copy because there were some good notes in these comments for me to continue the idea of it.
I actually think even if I end the stream, you can actually stay in the StreamYard room and keep scrolling through the chat. Like the stream will be over. But it doesn't automatically kick you out of the room, so you can still review the chat comments.
Let's try that, actually. We can experiment with it.
All righty, so I'm going to go to bed. So I'll see all you fine people another time. Look,